He was methodical, patient, a predator without a pattern. When authorities finally caught Israel Keyes, they realized they hadn't just stopped a killer. They'd unmasked a ghost. One who hunted for pleasure, killed without conscience, and left almost no trace behind. This is the story of Israel Keyes, the serial killer who terrified the FBI. Born in 1978 in Utah, Israel Keyes was raised in an isolated, ultra-religious family in Washington state. But his belief system turned darker with time. By his teens, Keyes admired infamous killers like Ted Bundy, not just for what they did, but how they got away with it. He joined the army in 1998 and served in Egypt and the US, and was honorably discharged. Outwardly, he seemed normal, a business owner, a father, a boyfriend, but beneath all of it, he was a calculating killer. What made Israel Keyes truly terrifying was his method of killing. Unlike most serial killers, Keyes had no victim type, no pattern. He murdered across state lines and planned his crimes years in advance. He buried so-called kill kits, buckets filled with guns, duct tape, rope, cash, and chemicals, in remote locations all over the US. Then, he'd return years later, select a victim at random, kill them, and then vanish. Samantha Koenig, 18, was working the late-night shift at a coffee kiosk in Anchorage. When Keyes abducted her at gunpoint, he sexually assaulted her, killed her the next day, and hid her body in a shed, all while texting her family from the phone to make it seem like she was still alive. Her body was later dumped in a frozen lake. Bill and Lorraine Currier. In June 2011, Keyes flew to Chicago, rented a car, and drove over 1,000 miles to Vermont. He dug up a kill kit he had buried 2 years prior. He broke into the home of Bill and Lorraine Currier, abducted them at gunpoint, and took them to an abandoned farmhouse. He shot Bill and sexually assaulted and strangled Lorraine. The farmhouse was later demolished, and the case went cold, until Keyes confessed. Keyes told FBI that he had killed less than a dozen people. But based on the evidence and his travel history, investigators believe there may be many more. He claimed his first murder happened in 2001. In total, the FBI believes he may be responsible for up to 11 or more murders across Washington, New York, Texas, and beyond. He also admitted to raping a teenage girl in Oregon in 1996, but she survived. On February 2nd, 2012, Keyes used Samantha Koenig's ATM card in Texas. The FBI tracked his movements across several states using ATM surveillance footage. He was pulled over in Lufkin, Texas, where police found Koenig's debit card, her phone, and dyed cash from the ransom drop. Once in custody, Keyes began talking, but only to control the narrative. He insisted on secrecy and revealing his crimes slowly and on his terms. Despite his confession and growing FBI file, Israel Keyes never stood trial. On December 2nd, 2012, he was found dead in his jail cell. He had slit wrists and strangled himself with a bedsheet. Beneath his body was a 4-page suicide note, rambling, poetic, and void of remorse. It contained no confession, just a cryptic goodbye. To this day, many of his victims remain unidentified, and the FBI still receives tips. His kill kits are still being discovered to this day. Israel Keyes wasn't just a serial killer. He was a methodical architect of horror, the kind who didn't want to be famous, just feared. His trail was long, and his motive was chaos. Perhaps the most terrifying truth is, if he hadn't slipped up, we may never have known that he existed at all. This has been The Dead Archives. Stay safe out there, because monsters don't always look like monsters until it's too late.